I want the
Me
whole,
too.
I want the whole thing to be part of this.
Yeah, totally cool.
So welcome to episode 7 of Conversations on Healthcare. And today I am thrilled to have a colleague, Angie Gallagher from BurstIQ. She is for me at least, I think of you as the blockchain queen. And
Oh,
now you're like the queen of video. So,
yeah. Well, I think some of the things that I'm most excited about is what it can do for clinical trials. And at my work, I work with Dr. Wendy Charles, and she is definitely a blockchain guru with massive amounts of clinical trial experience. And so what I do at BurstIQ is I offer a test license, a free license for startups and innovators to actually use this frontier technology. I've had different startups tell me, I can't believe, that I can actually try this out, and because they were going to be charged 200,000 from another company or 80,000 from another company. And the other thing too is
just to have access to the technology.
yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. And that's just even trying for them to test drive it and figure it out if they even want to be using it, if it's going to be beneficial to the platform. But then when it comes to healthcare, being, since both of us are in this field, we always want to find ways that how do we work together, because, the hip bone's connected to the, hip bone,
Yeah, right. Thigh bone. Or, yeah. Exactly.
That's why I saw it. I'm like, oh shoot, what is this?
Right.
So yeah.
No, that's all right. Anatomy doesn't have to be part of what you do. That's all right.
I'm sales.
Yeah.
So as long as we embrace the fact that nothing really is perfect, there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be bumps, and it's going to be the hey, I told you so, or no, it does work or it doesn't work. The bottom line is it's there.
Right. Right. And you know what? I think that's the story of healthcare in general, right? Nothing is perfect, and we have to do the best with what we can.
Right.
And what we have.
Right. So with what I do is I work with innovators all around the world, and the majority of them who jump on pretty quick and use our solutions, they already know quite a bit about blockchain. And the ones who come to us, sometimes interestingly enough, I've had a few come to me and say, well, my investor actually told me I needed to look into blockchain. And so here I am. And so I was like, wow, the VCs are pretty savvy about what's on the cutting edge. In fact, in some ways, more than some of the innovators. And so I find that interesting, because if you've got someone who's investing a lot of money into a company, and they obviously have done their research, and they find, that they can feel absolutely confident in that type of, I don't want to say new wave, but with something that's different. And really VCs by nature, they're risk takers. Absolutely. So you have to have extensive research about the outcomes.
So how is blockchain helping clinical trials?
Right. Good question. I think one of the most exciting things that it can do is more remote clinical trials. Most of the clinical trials, the people that are involved in it may live up to 300 miles away, and they're driving in, to meet with the clinic or the doctor.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And then
which obviously then limits the number of subjects. And
yes, absolutely. So imagine someone's doing a clinical trial on juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, right? And so doing a clinical trial using blockchain may actually allow them to expand the subject matter, because what's happening in clinical trials, because they may be limited on finding really good qualified patients to be a part of it, to data. So what I call it, like, it's a paradox, right? That in order to utilize data to its fullest potential, you have to have it secure in order to set it free.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's the paradox. And so that was one of the absolute, critical focuses of BurstIQ, is to make sure that you can use the blockchain benefit, but that the data is highly secure.
Right.
But we imagine they're doing that, but really it's leadership who decides and says,
Totally.
we're going to do it.
Right.
That's kind of what it really comes down to. You can have, everybody's got a budget of some kind, and it depends on how leadership is looking forward and making decisions for their company to take action on it now. So, the other thing that I was thinking about in terms of innovation and seeing technology evolve, I always loved using the photography example. Kodak, the day of film, and Kodak publicly announced that digital photography was no threat to the future of film.
Right.
And so I call that innovator die, and it's the ultimate. And if you look throughout the history, those examples are just over and over and over again, yet here we are as humans, our ability to evaluate, embrace, look forward, lead a team, implement things. All of those things have to come together to innovate for healthcare. And when we talk about, innovate is it is a buzzword, right?
It is, but it's for good reason.
Yeah, it makes sense, which is why, we grab onto it. And really what we're talking about is evolving the technical aspect in order to reach more people with higher quality. And so that ultimately is the essence of health tech.
Right. For me,
imagine you're tiling a tabletop, you lay down all the tiles, right? And then you take the grout, and it just connects everything up. That to me is kind of what blockchain is.
Interesting. That's cool. That's an interesting analogy. Did you just make that up?
There. Well, yeah, as you're talking about it, and you're talking about basically the disjointed aspects and what this could mean for this person's health and the care that they're getting, because of big gaps of information that are not being shared.
Correct.
The disconnected part of it. And so while you were saying that, for some reason, that's the image that came to my head.